So today we are going to be talking about equivalent fractions, okay? Remember that the root word there is equa, which means equal. So equivalent fractions are fractions that name the same part, okay? So for instance, if I have a pizza, okay, and I cut that pizza in half, and I have 1/2 left and 1/2 is eaten. One name for this is 1/2. I could also cut that half in half again, and now there are 2 out of 4 2/4 pieces. I could cut all of those pieces again, and now I have 1, 2, 3, 4 out of 5, 6, 7, 8 pieces. Okay, so all I was doing there was I was cutting the pieces again. I never changed the fact that I had half of a pizza. Okay, that value stayed the same every time. All I did was take what was still there and cut it up. So it's still an equal amount, it's just different names. Okay, so I'm saying that 1/2 is equal to 2/4, which is equal to 4/8. Okay, so that's what an equivalent fraction is. I'm going to show you how to do that by either multiplying or dividing based off of common factors. Okay, so for instance, if I'm going from 1/2, okay, and I want to change into fourths, let's pretend I didn't know the numerator. Okay, I don't know that. We're pretending. I know that there's going to be 4. Okay, so I know my half of a pizza is going to go into fourths, but I don't know how many pieces that's going to give me. Well, here's where you think about your relationships. Okay, so 2 times what is 4? 2 times 2, very good. Okay, what I do to the bottom, I must do to the top. Okay, because I'm not changing value, I'm changing the name. So this piece has to be the same. So whatever I multiply by has to be the same on the top and the bottom. Whatever I divide by has to be the same on the top and the bottom. Okay, because I need the values to stay the same. So 1 times 2 is 2, and there's our 2/4. Okay, same thing over here. Let's say I'm going from fourths to eighths and I don't know this. Okay, again, I think about my relationship. What number times 4 gives me 8? Oh, that's 2 again. Okay, what I do to the bottom, I do to the top. So 2 times 2 is 4. So there's our 4. Okay, I can also do that backwards. Well, I think of it backwards, but it's not really backwards. Let's say I have 4/8. Okay, and I know that 4 is half of 8. Okay, and I'm going to see what would happen if I go from 4/8 into halves. Okay, so it should be 1 if all these are equal. So let's see how that works. Well, in this case, I'm going from a bigger number to a smaller number. So I'm not going to be multiplying, I'm going to be dividing. So 8 divided by what number is 2? You can also think of it backwards if you want. 2 times what is 8? That would be 4, right? Because thinking about fact families, if 2 times 4 is 8, then 8 divided by 4 has to be 2. And same thing, what I do to the bottom, I do to the top. So 4 divided by 4 is 1. So 4/8 and 1/2 are equal. All right. Okay, so your directions today, when you get into the practice problems and to your quiz, is to find equivalent fractions. And I believe it says to find 2 equivalent fractions. Okay, so 2 equivalent fractions for each of these fractions. So we're going to start with 2/4. I need an equivalent fraction for 2/4. Well, I have 2 options. I can multiply or I can divide. Okay, I'm going to start with multiply, and here's where you can decide to do this on your own. Okay, so you can choose any number you want to multiply by. Okay, so I'm going to choose 2. I don't care if it's 2, 5, 10, a million, it doesn't matter. Okay, any number other than 0 or 1, I should say that, bigger than 1 that you need to multiply by. The only thing that you have to follow is that you have to do that to the top and the bottom. So if I'm going to choose to multiply by 2, I have to do that to the top and the bottom. Otherwise, it's not an equivalent fraction. Okay, I have to do the same thing to both the top and the bottom to make them equal. Okay, so 2 times 2 is 4, and 4 times 2 is 8. So 1 equivalent fraction to 2/4 is 4/8. Okay, I could choose to then multiply again. Let's say this time I want to multiply by 10. That's perfectly fine, as long as I do 10 on the top and 10 on the bottom. So 2 times 10 is 20. And 4 times 10 is 40. So 2/4, 4/8, and 20/40 are all equivalent. Now, I do see that with the 2 and the 4, that I could probably divide those, because I know that 2 and 4 are both divisible by 2. Okay, so that's the other part. I can divide. So I'm going to divide by 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1, and 4 divided by 2 is 2. So this is 1/2. So 1/2 is also equal to 2/4, 4/8, and 20/40. Now, I can't divide 2/4 anymore because these two numbers are only divisible by the 2 by 2. Okay, but for the multiplying, I could choose any number. I could sit here and find equivalent fractions for 2/4 all day long if I wanted to. Okay, it's just a matter of making sure that I'm multiplying the top and the bottom the same. So now I want to find 2 equivalent fractions for 6/10. Okay, remember I can multiply or I can divide as long as I do the same to the top and the bottom. Well, I know that both 6 and 10 are even numbers. Okay, and remember, even means I can divide them by 2 and there's no leftovers. So I think I'm going to start by dividing them both by 2. I need to divide the top and the bottom by the same number. 6 divided by 2 is 3, and 10 divided by 2 is 5. So 6/10 and 3/5 are equivalent. But they're asking me for 2 equivalent fractions to this one, so I need to do that one more time. All right, so then I have 6/10 again, and there's no other number, there's no other common factor between 6 and 10 other than 2. So this time I need to multiply. Oh, how about we multiply by 2? So we can see what that looks like. So 6 times 2 is 12. And 10 times 2 is 20. So 12/20 is also equal to 6/10 and 3/5. Okay? Let's try another one. Let's try 4/9. Now, I'm looking at 4, and I know 4 can be divided by 2 and 4. And I know 9 can be divided by 3 and 9, but neither one of those is a common factor. So I'm not going to be able to divide this one. So that means that for 4/9, I'm going to have to multiply twice, which isn't a big deal because remember, it just means I multiply the top and the bottom by the same number and I get to choose which number. So I'm going to go by 2 because I like to multiply by 2. 4 times 2 is 8, and 9 times 2 is 18. So 4/9 and 8/18 are equivalent. I'm going to just multiply by 3 for this one. 4 times 3 is 12. 9 times 3 is 27. So 12/27 is also equal to 4/9 and 8/18. All right, the last one that we're going to do together on this video is 24/28. Now, those are some big numbers, okay? And a lot of times when they're bigger numbers, I would rather divide than to multiply, okay? Remember, I can still do both, but really at this point, it's about kind of just thinking what's friendlier to you, okay? So I know that both of these are even numbers, so I'm going to divide by 2. Okay, I know that 24 divided by 2 is 12. Okay, I also know that 28 divided by 2 is 14. So 24/28 and 12/14 are equivalent fractions. Okay. All right, and I need one more. I know that 24 and 28 are both multiples of 4. So I'm going to divide by 4 this time. 24 divided by 4 is 6, and 28 divided by 4 is 7. So 6/7 is also equivalent to 24/28 and to 12/14. Now there is one thing I want to show you. So I have the 12/14 here. Okay, let's say I divide 12/14 by 2. 12 divided by 2 is 6. 14 divided by 2 is 7. Oh, interesting. It's the same fraction that we got over there. Okay, so I'm okay with you doing this process. If you recognize that, oh, 12/14, I can divide those by 2 again, you can do that. Absolutely. Okay, you don't have to start from this point every time. If you see that there is a fraction that you can divide more by, that's fine. I even could, once I get down to here, to the 6/7, what if I then say, you know what, I'm going to multiply times 5. 6 times 5 is 30, and 7 times 5 is 35. So 30/35 has to also be equal to 24/28 and to 12/14 because it's equal to 6/7. So if there's a fraction that is equal to the others, okay, then it has to be equal to this one as well. Even though when I look at 24/28 and 12/14, I don't think, oh yeah, 30/35 has to be the same. Okay, mostly because I'm looking at these numbers and I'm thinking about 2s and 4s when I look at those numbers. And I don't think about 2s and 4s when I look over here. But if both of these are equivalent to this, and this is equivalent to this, then that means that this one is equivalent to these. Okay?